The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning, everyone. It is 5 a.m. on this Monday morning. I'm Alex Fisher alongside Chris Burton. Maddie Jansen has the day off.
Breaking news from overnight. Police are investigating a deadly hit-and-run crash late last night in southeast Bakersfield. Bakersfield police officers were called to the area of East California Avenue and Baker Street at about 10:45 p.m. After receiving a call of a pedestrian having been struck by a vehicle, officers arrived and found a man in the road who died at the scene. Witnesses told police a vehicle fled from the scene following the crash. Police say the driver was last seen heading north on Baker Street. It's unknown at this time whether alcohol or speed are a factor in this collision. Anyone with information can call BPD. That number 327-7111.
And it was a deadly weekend on our local roads as officers responded to several crashes. Another one happened last night in Tehachapi. It happened last night on Santa Lucia Street near Highway 202 around 9:15. CHP says one person was hit and killed by a car. The driver reportedly stayed and cooperated with first responders. It is unclear what led up to the crash, but CHP says the driver told investigators the person killed walked in front of the car before the crash.
And CHP says a pedestrian died after a hit-and-run crash in East Bakersfield on Friday night. Officers were called to the area of Niles Street and Fairfax Road at about 8:30 p.m. When they arrived, they found a semi-truck had hit one person who had died at the scene. CHP says the semi-truck sped off after the crash. It's unclear what led up to this deadly accident, and the investigation is still ongoing.
In your 17 Crime Watch, danger sped through our roads over the weekend as police broke up several so-called takeovers Saturday night. One of these in southwest Bakersfield. This is video from about 11:30 Saturday night, and you can see drivers spinning out in front of a large crowd, and you can see wheels screeching. You can see at least one person being detained due to the dangers of driving. We have not received any reports of any arrests, and this was far from the only similar, or there were many other sideshows that happened across town.
Well, you can see this was at the scene at the intersection of Brundage Lane and A Street in central Bakersfield on that same night. A 17 News viewer sent us this video, which appears to show several drivers taking over that intersection that you can see. These drivers jeopardizing the safety of everyone on the road. Police were called to the scene at about 8:45 p.m. We have not received reports that anyone was arrested.
And one of our traffic cameras captured this scene at the intersection of Mohawk Street and Rosedale Highway in northwest Bakersfield just a few minutes later. Video shows crowds scattering as police break up the rally. It is unclear whether this is the same group seen in the previous video. CHP says it responded to more than 25,000 calls involving street racing last year alone.
Your time now 5:06. A deadly officer-involved shooting in Rosamond from Friday night is under investigation. According to the CHP, officers were called to Highway 14 near Rosamond Boulevard for reports of a man setting fires at around 11:15 p.m. Two officers found the man at the scene, and that is when the suspect reportedly lunged at them with what was described as a sharp weapon. One of the officers tried to take the man down with a taser, but it didn't work. They then opened fire on the man, but the standoff didn't end with the first shots fired. Emergency crews say the man was detained and rushed to a hospital where he died from his wounds. No first responders were hurt, and the officer who fired his service weapon is on administrative leave pending the investigation. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is now investigating the shooting.
And one person is dead after a crash southwest of Mojave. CHP says officers were called to Bacchus Road near Tehachapi Willow Springs Road at about 6:15. When they arrived, they say they found one car slammed head-on into the side of another, leaving one person dead at the scene. It is unclear what led up to the crash. 5:07 is our time now, and a woman was killed in a crash Saturday afternoon in northwest Bakersfield. CHP says officers were called to Highway 99 just south of 7th Standard Road at about 3:45 p.m. When they arrived, they say they found a driver had lost control of their car and swerved off the road before slamming into a fence. CHP says multiple people tried to help a woman reported to be in the car, but she died. It is unclear why the driver lost control of the vehicle.
And at least one person died, and part of a local highway was closed for a time on Saturday afternoon after a deadly crash west of Lost Hills. Emergency crews were called out to Highway 33 near Highway 46 just after 2 p.m. When they arrived, they found a U-Haul towing another car slammed into the back of a semi-truck carrying liquid petroleum, spilling fuel all across the road. At least one person died in that crash. It's still unclear what happened before it.
5:34 now, and in your 17 homicide tracker, officials at Kern Valley State Prison are investigating the death of an inmate as a homicide. Officers say they responded to an attack on the maximum security recreational yard around 10 a.m. on Thursday. Prison officials allege that 40-year-old Anthony Ramirez and 35-year-old Michael Caldera killed 31-year-old Sidney Kang with 2 inmate manufactured weapons. Kang was serving 14 years in prison for assault. Ramirez is serving a life sentence for second-degree murder, and Caldera was serving a 71-year sentence for several second-degree robbery convictions. This is the 3rd inmate death at Kern Valley State Prison this year and the 2nd recorded death this month.
Your time now 5:35. The leak of a draft Supreme Court opinion overturning Roe v. Wade is generating protests around the nation. That includes here at home. Demonstrators gathered in downtown Bakersfield on Saturday. Here you can see dozens of people holding up signs next to the county courthouse. It is one of many protests happening around the country. The ongoing debate puts a spotlight on what some women already face when they decide to get an abortion, and it will become all the more challenging if the opinion holds.
Meanwhile, around the nation, police are investigating a fire inside the headquarters of a Wisconsin anti-abortion group as Arson. Madison police say the nonprofit Wisconsin Family Action may have been targeted. A message was spray painted on the outside of the building, reading, "If abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either." Police say no one was hurt in the fire yesterday morning, and they are still working to determine how much damage was caused.
Meantime, a man has been arrested for scaling a downtown Detroit skyscraper yesterday. The man didn't appear to be wearing any type of safety harness. He climbed one of the 39-story towers surrounding the Renaissance Center. When he got to the top, police officers were waiting for him. As the man was being taken away in handcuffs, he appeared to be wearing a shirt that read, "Support Women and Abortion." And this comes directly after a man climbed the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco. So we've had a couple of these now. And red flag warnings are in effect across northeast New Mexico as wildfires force nearly 13,000 residents to evacuate. The Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon wildfire is the largest active fire burning right now in the U.S. That's nearly 200,000 acres. It's burning about 120 miles northeast of Albuquerque, and currently 1,500 firefighters are battling that blaze. As of this morning, it is 43% contained. The strong gusty winds are causing concern for residents and firefighters and could threaten more homes, campsites, and nearby towns.
Now to the coronavirus, and doctors with the Mayo Clinic say allergies typically do not cause fever or shortness of breath like COVID-19 can. They say if you have loss of taste or smell, it is most likely to be COVID, but an itchy nose, eye irritation, and sneezing are all signs that you're probably just suffering from regular allergies. However, the doctors say if you have had a known exposure to COVID, it is important to get tested. Now to the latest COVID-19 numbers here at home, and Kern Public Health updated their dashboard Friday to show 267 new positive cases and 9 new deaths attributed to the virus. 2,395 Kern residents have died from COVID-19. State data shows we have 21 people in the hospital with the virus. In Kern County, 3 more are in the ICU.
Time now 5:38, making news around town. Cancer survivors, their caregivers, and supporters all walking laps over the weekend to raise money to battle cancer. while honoring cancer survivors and caregivers. 17's Marco Torres reports.
The Relay for Life closing ceremonies had dozens of people pack the area to walk their final lap for cancer survivors. The last lap signaled the end of the 24-hour event. Many of the people that walked the lap camped out overnight, but one man didn't camp. He ran and walked laps the entire 24 hours.
Running and walking, and it was brutal. It hurt, but it's nothing compared to what some of the people have gone through today. The stories they were telling me every time I was in pain, and another cancer survivor would come up and tell me their story, and I'm like, I can't let them down.
Event organizers say they raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the weekend, and money is still coming in.
Our grand total, $294,764.42. So we went over our goal, super exciting, and we have till August 31st to continue to raise money for 2022 Relay. So we are bloated out of the ballpark because of you guys and all of your efforts that you do. So thank you so much.
Staff members expect another $15,000 within the next week. Herman explained even $25 can go a long way to help people fighting cancer.
$25 helps get a ride to somebody to their treatments. $100 helps get some hotel lodging. There's so much that this money does. Every dollar counts. And we do not stop because cancer does not win.
Organizers say that just because the event is completed doesn't mean that they're going to be stopping anytime soon. They will continue to come out every year until the cure for cancer has been found. From the Kern County Fairgrounds, Marco Torres, 17 News.
And speaking of walking, members of a nonprofit called Carry the Load walked through Bakersfield yesterday as part of a 20,000-mile national relay to honor and remember fallen military service members and first responders. One of yesterday's stops was Fire Station 63 in Oildale.
Basically, our mission is to bring back the true meaning of Memorial Day. We want to remember all of those veterans, the police and firemen that have given that ultimate sacrifice and have died in the line of duty. We just got to meet with a family back over in Clovis that has lost their son at the age of 19 years old. A lot of our guys are wearing that name on their backpacks today.
The group has held national relay since 2011 with 5 walking routes covering 48 states.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.